So then when you got done with the initial UDTR-A, you went to, you checked into UDT, right?
Yeah, UDT 12 is really funny because me and a good friend of mine up in Flagstaff's where I joined in, we decided we were going to be Marines, So, and his dad, Guadalcanal, you name
Nice.
it, his uncle's DIs, he was a Marine, but he talked me into it too, so we went up to join the Marines. Well, that office was closed, and right across the hallway was the Navy recruiter, and there was a boatswain of the line, leaned against the door, and he goes, "What are you boys doing?" "Well, we're going to join Marines, and which, it's all good.
Yeah.
And he goes, ask the other guy, "Well, what's your parents' background, everything?" Marines. So he knew what he was going to. He said, "How about you?" "Well, my dad was in the Navy, a chief, and da-da-da." He says, "Come here, son." So my buddy went off to be a Marine. I went in the Navy. That close.
Yeah. I think we all have a story like that.
Yeah, I know, really close. So.
Yeah, I had a buddy, Bruce. We saw like some ship pulled in, and we saw guys in Marine uniforms, and we were like, "Let's go join. Let's just go join." That's how effective that recruiting tool is.
Oh yeah, it's unreal.
Luckily, I held out just a little longer.
It wasn't open, but the Marine or the Navy office is open, so recruiting office.
And so you showed up at UDT. And then what was the schedule there? I mean, the Vietnam War was already on, so now it's like, is it 1966 now?
No, I didn't. Went into UDT 67. I graduated from training Cinco de Mayo in 1967, and that's when I went over to UDT 12. Yeah, the war had been on. And then we had heard a little bit about SEAL Team, but nobody knew much about it. Because everybody I graduated with, East Coast and West Coast, you went to a UDT team first. Then you did a trip with UDT. Then you came back and got in the SEAL Team.
And how was that? How was that first trip with UDT?
Oh, it was great. I did a 9-month trip, and we had different debts that you went to in Vietnam. Like first thing we did is go to Da Nang, a place called Camp Ten Shan. We worked up at Phu Bai, Hue, Quang Tri, Dung Ha, all over the northern part of South Vietnam, doing demo work, different things, you know what I mean. And then we left that debt and went on the USS Daishenko, and we did about 110 miles of beach recons.
Ooh.
And then from there, we went. Some of us went down to a debt in the.
Were those hydrographic reconnaissance, or were you looking at the
they
beach?
Were perpendicular.
Old school perpendicular.
Yep, parallel, not perpendicular, but most of them were parallel. We didn't do any perpendiculars. That's your combat op. You know what I mean? But
so for those of you that don't know, the original job of one of the original jobs of the UDT was to find out how deep the water is off of a beach. So
and obstacles and different things.
And if there's any obstacles there that could trip up a boat that's coming in. And so you said you did 110 miles of that?
Yeah, 3 months.
And so you have to swim with a lead line. So you have a cord with a piece of lead on the bottom of it, and you've got different markings on it to tell you how long it is. And you sit there and you swim along, and
every 25 meters. And you have a beach party on the beach, and it has a swimmer line going out. And we had it hooked to an IBS in case we got hit or something. That IBS could turn and get us out of there. We all grab onto the. Of course, it was only a 9.5 horsepower engine, so you didn't go out very fast if you had
You'd be able to swim fast.
But every 25 meters, you'd take soundings. When you got back to the Daishenko, then the cartographer, which I was lucky enough to be one, you drew up a hydrographic chart.
Right.
When I got to UDT 12, you're pretty regimented. And I'll call it buds. It was UDT, but you're pretty regimented buds. When we got there, our platoons weren't even formed up, and you were kind of lost at sea, I mean, nobody's really telling you what you have to do. You're not in a platoon yet, and it was kind of floating, you know what I mean? We went up and did lifeguard stuff for the Marines when they did landings up by Pendleton and stuff like that. It wasn't really a lot to do. We're going, Jesus, played volleyball a lot and stuff, ran around your UDTs and coral boots and, So then we started forming up, and how UDT worked is that they'd be home for 9 months, and then the whole team would deploy and relieve the team that was out there, like we relieved UDT 11, and 11 would come back. 9 months later, they would come out and relieve us. So it was 9-month deployments in almost port and starboard, you didn't have like a year and a half, 2 years of workup. It was about 9 months.
9 months home
Yeah.
with a workup in there. Was the workup? What did you do during the workup?
Oh, we did everything. We did recons. We did demolition raids. We did river recons. We just
How many guys were in a UDT platoon?
18 or
18,
20. Maybe
yeah.
it might have been 20. It was quite a bit because you got the swimmer line, beach party, and all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
That's why when we did the
You
old
gotta-
ARC platoons, we always tried to get a couple extra guys because
Yeah.
we needed them to cover more beach.
It's the same deal.
Yep.
Yeah. And everything you did and we'd do it was just a lot, you know what I mean? And it was a lot of physical work too, you know what I mean? Everything. UDT, actually, when we went through training, I think we did about 50 times more swimming than the guys doing buds now, because that's what we were. We were frogmen, you know, so it was
And that's a lot.
different
If you're
things,
doing
yeah.
more swimming than we did in buds, that's a
Yeah.
lot of swimming. I'm glad I went through buds instead of that.
Well, the surf out there in January is pretty cold.
Yeah, it is, no
February,
doubt. And when you were there, you were telling me before about some of the kind of hooking on to some of the conventional units on some of their operations that they did with the, I think it was the 9th Infantry.
Yeah, so we were down in the Delta, and we were doing river recons, and I think we're the only ones that ever did it with this. They called them the darts, and it would look like a jet ski, but you laid on it and you guided it with your feet. It had a 355-degree camera up on top and a fathometer on the bottom of it. And it had a piece of aluminum on it like this, of course, so you wouldn't get hit with the props and stuff. And the handles were on the right and left, you know what I'm saying? And they went up to about 30 knots. What they would do is take two of us, either by chopper or something, drop us in a canal, and we'd come down that canal. Then when we got back, we'd do a chart of that canal, and that would let the 9th Infantry in their riverine boats know if they could go up there and do a landing or not. And that's one of the things we did. Of course, you only went down the river maybe once or twice, and you didn't go down it anymore. That was stupid.
Would you carry like a sidearm when you were on that little jet
Yeah, we had
ski
a
thing?
45 in the front of the cover there, and that's what we had. We had a flak jacket on, a helmet, UDTs, and guide it with our feet.
Would you do it at night or in the daytime?
A daytime. You
Oh,
couldn't do it at
damn.
night. And then, with that 350-degree camera across canals coming into pagodas, anything that was a known thing you could find on a map, we'd take a picture of as we went down. You tried to stay at the same speed all the way down, because otherwise your chart wouldn't be good, But we only did that, and we couldn't do it too much. So, just the different rivers and different canals and stuff. So we got bored. So we started going out with the 9th Infantry on those river boats to be their demolition guys, blow up bunkers. And sometimes they'd put log dams across the river. We'd blow those up and stuff. And we took some heavies on that, doing that. So